The story of the great British motor car is shared by us all. Whether it's the everyday runaround, classic sports car, or the off-road workhorse. But these stories are rusting away. They're buried in the back of barns and lockups. And for the love of cars, well, something's got to be done. So we've chosen 6 iconic British cars. It's a stag! It's a stag! We are the Self-Preservation Society. And along with one of the country's best mechanics, Ant Anstead.
That's a proper Land Rover.
We're going to bring them back to life.
What do you think?
Back to the future. Scouring the barns and garages of Britain, we'll unearth hidden wrecks.
Bit of a state, isn't it?
And try to resurrect them.
Oh, this is turning into a nightmare.
And while Ant gets his hands dirty, I'm going to find out just why we love them.
Oh, it sounds bloody marvellous, doesn't it?
I think it's Back in the Future. It's bumpy, isn't it?
Can we pull off the best restorations ever attempted?
Maybe you should double-check the engine.
Can we stun the experts?
Don't touch it. It looks a fantastic job.
There's a problem with the wiper, it's not on right.
Oh, there we go. There's got to be one, isn't there?
And will our cars
Still growing, though. It's still growing.
smash world records at auction?
That's great, isn't it?
That's unbelievable.
Sold!
The Ford Escort Mexico,
Well, my dad used to have one of these.
the legendary motor that ignited the passion of the nation.
Almost like falling in love.
We're resurrecting a classic
Oh, it's like a can of beans.
that brought speed to us all. Speed that we could revel in,
Nutters.
speed we could handle,
Off the brakes.
and most importantly, speed we could afford.
Also, the car's just cool.
We'll meet its champions,
We turned that car into what it is today, and I'm not giving it bigger.
its villains,
I was never, ever scared of the police, ever.
its knights in go faster, striped armour.
It looked the business and it did the business.
Get ready for the story of a tasty little family runaround
No spotlight, son. Nothing.
that turned Britain into a nation of boy racers. The Ford Escort Mexico. See, I love this car, man. I just want to get my hands on one of them.
Yeah, I mean, they're fast, they're fun. I mean, it's the car that gave birth to the boy racer.
Boy racer, indeed.
See, back in the day, all you needed was an Escort, a bit of cash, and you could create your very own mean machine.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like a bit of a stroll in the park to find one. I mean, are they everywhere?
Escorts, yes, but to get hold of a Mark 1 Mexico is tough. But what I want to do is I want to get hold of a proper Mark 1 Mexico, something that I can start from scratch and create something awesome.
Well, you're going to have to make something awesome because you're going to have the eyes of the country's boy racers on you for this one, mate. So, no pressure.
So a friend of mine that is in the Ford world has given me a tip-off that this Mexico exists in a garage in South London. So I'm heading to Brockley now to see the car for the first time.
The Ford Escort was launched in 1968.
I've always wanted a Ford Escort. Well, which one do I choose? There's so many.
Despite being the preferred motor of an impressive 50% of the two Ronnies,
Oh, I like this.
it didn't really look like it was about to spark a revolution. Then this happened. Faster. Better handling. Better looking. You can keep your GTIs, your XR3s and your TTs. The impossibly exotic-sounding Escort Mexico was the British-built granddaddy of them all.
Yeah, getting hold of a standard Escort's quite easy, but getting hold of a Mexico is really rare.
Brilliant. Ford made just over 10,000 Mexicos, and only 800 are still registered in Britain, and half of those aren't even on the road. Ant's tip-off better be right.
I'm told that it's a complete car. I'm told that the guy's owned it for a long time. Best case scenario is we get a really solid shell, all the parts are complete, every car can be saved, but the level of work that's needed is whether it's viable or not. So we might have to swallow a bit of extra work to get a really authentic Mexico.
Matt Cannon bought an Escort 24 years ago.
You all right? How are you?
At the time, it looked all right. Then he started fiddling with it, and here we are.
So when you bought the car as a 19-year-old, you drove it home?
Yes. It wasn't running very well when I bought it, but drove it home. Didn't really drive it any more than that. All my friends were totally jealous that I was buying a proper Mark 1 Mexico. I really bought it to restore, have as a showpiece, but times change. busy man, so just never finished it.
Are you all right leaving me for 5 minutes?
Yeah, as long as you finish it.
Top man.
Thanks.
Because they're so rare, people often try and pass off a standard Escort as a Mexico.
It's got some signs of Mexico. Yeah, it's got the reinforced upper suspension mounts.
So Ant's got a bit of detection work to do.
There are 2 loose chassis plates in this box of bits. See, one has still got the body colour on, which is a Mexico trait. The chassis number's important because it proves the identity of the car. It's like a birth certificate. Hi, John, it's Ant.
Hi, Ant, how you doing?
Yeah, good. John, do you remember I told you about that Mexico I'd found?
Yes.
Ant's got a chum who should be able to tell him if the chassis numbers are genuine.
All right, speak to you soon, mate.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
As an Escort, it's 500 quid. As a Mexico, it's potentially 10 grand.
The chassis numbers are legitimate. This 42-year-old heap of rust is one of Britain's last undiscovered Mexicos.
OK, so let's get down to business. How much is the car?
I'm looking for £8,000 for it, which I think, with the parts that go with it, is a reasonable price.
OK, what flexibility have you got in the price?
At the minute, not a lot, because genuine Mexicos are hard to come by.
As a negotiator, Anthony really is a fantastic mechanic. In the 70s, 8 grand would have bought you a house.
I just remember cars of that period again, just smelling of fags and petrol, basically, and antifreeze. It's one of those cars that everybody either had one or knew somebody who had one. It was a part of the furniture, an old relative.
When I was growing up, it seemed everyone's dad had an Escort. You could say it was the law. What we all really wanted was to be seen in a Mexico.
This is part of your childhood film.
I know exactly what it's going to be. The Fiesta! No! The Ford Escort, as I live and breathe. Well, my dad used to have one of these. Do you remember, well, you wouldn't remember this, you're too young, but back in the day when the world and his wife used to smoke in cars, your parents would always, like, throw the fag butt out the window. And invariably, if there was a bit of a wind coming the other way, the cigarette would end up in the back seat, and you'd have the kids be like, "Mom, you're right, I'm on fire!" You know? Yeah, I'm liking it.
I mean, this is a piece of British motoring history. And this is an original one. This is a Mark I Mexico. Do you want to see the engine?
I do want to see the engine.
Ta-da!
Fantastic. There is no engine. I mean, great emission-wise, obviously.
Yeah, it's not a polluter. Yeah, so effectively we've got a bag of bits.
The good news is, 8 grand doesn't just get you a missing engine.
There's no seats.
I do have the seats. In fact, the seats are fantastic.
Are they? Are they like rally seats?
No, but they're a nice black velour. I know you'll appreciate them.
No roll bar.
Do you want a roll bar?
I'd love a roll bar.
We can do a roll bar.
I really, really like a roll bar.
Really?
Yeah.
So you want to do a rally car?
Yeah.
We're talking roll cage.
Yeah.
Spotlights.
Yeah.
Numbers on the door.
Yeah.
Go faster stripes.
Yeah.
Rally seats.
Yes.
What colour?
White. With 2 black stripes from bonnet over roof down through boot.
We're doing a rally car.
Deal. Escort purists everywhere are going to loathe us.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So here's the plan. Ant's going to strip the Mexico down to a bare shell, check that the monocoque chassis is structurally sound, reassemble the engine, splash of white paint and fat black Go Faster stripes, put in a roll bar and plonk a couple of Larry spotlights on the front.
That's like loose bits of chassis just kicking around.
In 8 weeks' time, I want to parade our beautifully restored Mexico before a gathering of the car's biggest fans.
I had a Mark I Escort of my own when I was about 20 and just loved them ever since.
I used to watch the cars street race up and down my road, and ever since then sort of fell in love with them.
OK, 3, 2, 1!
I've always loved the shape of them. They look like a mini muscle car. Ready?
Get lots of looks.
Turn you back into a kid. Right, keep going.
They're light, they're fun. You know, they don't make cars like that anymore.
But before Ford launched the Mexico,
the Escort 1300E will be a head-turner on the road and in the showroom.
the Escort wasn't exactly glamorous.
The floor is fully covered in rich-cut pile carpet, which adds to the quality of the surroundings.
It's a miracle they sold any at all.
Ford Escort, the fun car.
Desperate to glam up the Escort, Ford's solution was radical. Middle-aged, dedicated pipe smoker Walter Hayes. Turns out he was a genius. He was made head of PR at Ford in 1962, and then in 1970, he changed the humble little Escort forever. He entered it into the world's toughest rally, the London to Mexico.
16,000 miles of the most testing motoring ever conceived.
And to make sure we all watched, he hired footballing legend Jimmy Greaves as a driver. The Escorts won.
I think the Fords will be there at the finish, that's a certainty.
And the souped-up Ford Escort Mexico was born. As a nation, we went Escort rallying mad.
I remember as a kid watching things like World of Sport, and usually after the Football Focus bit, there was the latest on the rallying. Every other car at that time seemed to be a Ford Escort.
I've come to Duncombe Park in North Yorkshire
Nutters.
to find out what were the elements that turned a family runaround into a champion. While we were all watching the Escort win rallies on the telly, Robin Shuttleworth could almost touch them.
When I was a lad, the RAC rally, which was the biggest, that's what this is trying to replicate now, that went past our house just about, and I went down with my dad when I was a young kid, and it was a Mark I Escort.
One glimpse of the Escort powering through muddy forests was enough. Robin was smitten. He bought his first Escort at 21, and since then has taken part in over 150 rallies.
So basically, you bore all the hallmarks of the boy racer?
That's me.
That's you?
Oh, yeah, and I'm now a grown-up boy racer.
Can I have a go?
Of course you can.
Great. Will you teach me?
I'll try.
Okay. Shit.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Now, normally, I drive a modern automatic with power steering. Robin's 1973 Escort has a rally-ready gearbox and a souped-up engine.
Oh, sorry, let's stop.
Making it the fastest car I've ever driven, on or off the screen.
Brake, 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 brake. Turn, turn. Off the brakes.
Get that on camera. Sorry.
Looks a lot easier on the telly.
Oh, sorry, there. Oh, fuck it, that's another course.
So far, I've discovered I'm not very good at rallying.
Oh, this has been a shambles.
And Robin wants a word. I think he's worried about his car.
The three main things I'd say: gears, braking and road position. Particularly coming down here, there's a tight left bend. You need to be tucked in the left-hand side. Into first gear to slow the car down with your brakes, big brakes, but you must be in a straight line. Don't brake on a bend. Right. Believe in the car. Is that okay?
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Believing in the car was exactly what I had to do. Because it worked. When I threw it into a corner, it forgave me. When the back slid out, it corrected itself. All I had to do was go faster. And most important of all, this 40-year-old gem of British motoring was making me look good.
Yeah, that was fun.
Why is this Escort such a fantastic rallying vehicle?
Well, the Escort was the first Ford car to have rack and pinion steering.
Rack and pinion steering works like this. You turn the wheel, the cog turns the rack, and the wheels turn instantly. The Ford Escort goes exactly where you point it. So if you want to go fast, you can handle it.
We've got an Escort which we're restoring. If you were restoring it, what would you do? Would you rally it up?
With a rally car, you have to take so many parts off and put bespoke parts. If you've got all the bits there, because now these are 40 years old, keep it original. Go back to how it should have been.
All right.
Well, that's the roll bar out the window. But I still want some big spot lamps, although we're a long way off the pretty stuff. A week into the restoration, and Ant's still working on ensuring our monocoque chassis is sound.
Oh dear. We put the floor in and the floor's gone really well, but actually the whole front end of this car needs replacing.
Rust has eaten through one of the Mexico's secret weapons. After the Escort won the London to Mexico rally, Ford's engineers were probably a bit too busy celebrating to spend much time redesigning the car for the high street. They basically gave us the rally-winning, unbelievably strong chassis. Larger, weaker cars would twist and bend slightly if pushed to the limit.
And the big Galaxy leading another clutch of 6 Cortina.
You could thrash the Mexico about and the body would stay rigid, keeping the car beautifully balanced as that revolutionary rack and pinion steering worked its magic.
This car's really rotten. We could never have foreseen this in that dusty barn.
If you thrash this front end about, well, you'd be dead.
This is a rare car and it needs to be done properly. I mean, it's going to put the build back. It's going to be weeks.
But pulling a rusty old Escort to bits and rebuilding was a rite of passage in the mid-70s.
Oh, look. Completely rotten.
And it triggered the next stage in our nation's speed revolution.
Right. Let's go and meet the Harrises. In South London.
The Harrises, Britain's first boy racers.
All right. How are you? Are you the Harrises of South London? The geezers.
The geezers, yeah.
Can I nick a chip?
Boy racers, leery cars, loud engines, 2 fingers to the rozzers. This was a whole new bulldog breed that skidded onto our streets in the early 70s. And it wouldn't have happened without the Escort and the Harrises.
Where did the love affair with the Ford Escort begin?
When I came out of the army as a mechanic, I worked on lorries because my dad had a fleet of lorries. And then I used to do occasional neighbours' car. One of my neighbours used to go grass track racing.
Right, what was the neighbour's car?
A Ford Escort. And we went and watched him, and my boys liked it, so they went grass track racing.
And this was what, late 60s?
Ron's sons, Andy, Jeff and Ron Jr., got into racing at precisely the right moment. By 1975, the rallying success of the Escort had led to over 2 million sales. The second-hand market was flooded. Scrapyards were full of them. The car and its parts were cheap as chips, so Ron could build and rebuild his boys' racing Escorts for next to nothing.
I know this is sounding flash, but they were kicking arse.
Andy Harris! And there is Andy then, taking his trophy.
Success on the track gave the Harrises an idea. They turned souping up Escorts into a massively successful family business. No prizes for guessing what they all drive.
We turned that car into what it is today, and I'm not giving it big un, I mean that. Everybody's copied us, they all want a bit of it.
There are other good people out there, but none of them have got the history of what we've been doing this for 40 years.
This is ominous. The Harrises have brought me to an abandoned test track.
Don't mess with the Harrises, all right?
They're going to show me the difference in performance between the finest Escort Ford ever produced, the Mexico obviously, and a Harris Special.
And this is the souped-up beast of the Harrises.
One of the Harrises beasts.
The mass-produced engine in James's original Mexico was fast for its day, capable of reaching 60 miles per hour in 12 seconds. Andy's Harris Special has been handmade by his brother Jeff, and he won't tell me how quick it is. He wants to show me. They'll race from a standing start for a quarter of a mile. Proper boy racers drag race. In your own time, Andy. Well, that answers that question. The legendary Mexico can do a quarter mile in 17 seconds. but the Harrises can do it in less than 12.
It's a buzz, an absolute buzz, and you get that real tight feeling in your chest, almost like, and this is silly me saying it, like falling in love. You get that tight feeling, you know, and I am in love with this sort of stuff that I do, and that's why I do it.
The Harrises may have helped bring cheap speed to the masses, but they won't tell you how they do it. Oh no, you've got to hire them.
You're the king of the engineer, and I want you, if you will do it, to build the engine for our Ford Mexico.
Do you know how many engines I've got to build? Listen, being as it's you...
Would you?
I will. I'll do it.
Fire up our Escort.
I'll do that for you, mate.
Great.
So the engine's sorted, but something's still bothering me. None of the Harris's Escorts look like rally cars. Am I making a big mistake with our restoration?
James, on our Mexico, we're thinking of putting lamps on the front. What do you reckon?
If you want the clean South London look, as we would like to call it, then it's absolutely...
South London look.
London, absolutely no spot lamps. Dad, what do you say about spotlights?
If I bought the car with spotlights on it, I'd tie them to the lamppost and reverse away. That's what I think of spotlights. Yeah, what do you want spotlights
I
for
don't know,
anyway?
because I'm just cheap. I'm just
Be cheaper without the spotlights.
Anne, hi, it's Phil. Yeah, I'm with the Harrises. I'm having a word with Anne, telling him, no spotlights, son! Nothing! So I leave the spotlight, lose the spotlights. I'm turning it into Michael Caine now.
Right, so we'll just get rid of those. Stupid idea anyway. 6 weeks to go on our restoration. And before Jeff builds us an engine, Ant needs to finish reconstructing where he's going to put it.
This box will hopefully be my saviour.
And he's been shopping.
All right.
I know what it looks like. Ant's basically building a new car.
Right, let's offer this up.
A purist might insist that we keep as much of this knackered front end as possible. But even if we could, there would be a massive downside to our restoration.
This car relies on the suspension being bolted onto the panels and the inner skin of the car. If any of those panels are wonky, of course it's going to mount the suspension in the wrong place and the car's not going to handle correctly.
There's not much point in a completely original car that you can't actually drive.
No. I mean, this isn't like assembling an IKEA flat pack. You can't just get a bunch of components and throw it together and hope that it all fits.
Each new panel will have to be hand-finished to fit the special rally-ready chassis exactly, or our Mexico's magical handling will be lost forever.
So to make sure that all the inner wings go in the same place and the car remains straight, throughout the welding process, we measure and double measure. Yeah, that's spot on. Just to ensure that the whole car goes back straight.
And Ant's got an old car builder's trick to ensure that it has.
Right, Chris, let's line this bonnet up, please.
A bonnet won't shut if a car isn't straight.
Now, the gap between the wing, so this outer wing and this bonnet, this is called a shut line. So this shut line needs to be perfect. So the front of the bonnet meets the front of the wing, the rear of the bonnet meets the bulkhead and the rear of the wing, and making sure the gaps around each panel are always the same. Now, you get worried if you do one shut line perfectly, come over to the other side of the car and this one's not perfect, because it means the car's wonky. But this one's not. Shut lines, I lose sleep over shut lines. Do you know what? That's better than Ford did it.
Since the heyday of the boy racer, the Escort-driven speed revolution has gone a bit underground. I mean, do boy racers even exist anymore? Or have they all grown up and become accountants?
I'm here on an industrial estate quite near Gatwick Airport. Make of that what you will. Sounds well dodge.
Come on then, son.
Looks a bit dodge as well. I've had a quick trawl online, and it seems these days boy racers gather after dark in their Escorts and try and run over their friends. And like the illegal raves I may or may not have attended in the early 90s, the locations are kept very hush-hush.
Still waiting.
I have no idea who I'm meeting. I have no idea where I'm going. It's August 1991 all over again.
Do you know, even I can tell that that isn't a Suzuki Swift. This should be my ticket to the dark side of the Escort. You looking for a bit of business, darling? I'm not cheap. Becky Reed was born and raised in Croydon. She's been going to Ford meets her whole life. It's nice and quiet, isn't it? When she was just 8 years old, her dad bought a Mark II Escort, painted it pink, and let her drive it.
My dad used to race these sort of cars, so I was into cars from the word go since about 4 or 5.
She even met her fiancé Terry at a Ford meet.
Is that us, that little thing there?
Blue dot.
And tonight she's put me in charge of finding the next one.
I think we might want to go down there.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the crematorium.
We're heading into deepest, darkest Crawley, armed with nothing but a postcode and a smartphone.
What are we actually looking for?
I don't know, a road, and you're meant to be reading the name of the road that I want.
I've got to ask you questions as well. I can't...
Yes, multitasking.
I can't multitask.
Yeah, see, if you were a woman, you could totally multitask.
Now you're getting angry.
Yeah, I am getting angry at you.
Now,
You're not telling me where to go.
My first ever secret Ford meet is in danger of never being discovered.
I'm really lost, dude. He's a rubbish navigator. I hope you all know that.
Jeez, it must be a laugh going on holiday with you.
Boy racers have gone underground, meeting in secret after dark.
I think a pint's in order, didn't you?
Totally.
But undercover in Becky's Mark I Escort, I'm in.
I do love Mark I Escorts. Yeah, there's no other word for it. Yeah.
It's the sound, it's the whole smell. It's something, for me, you can't encapsulate in something else. They've got such a pedigree.
I just think they're sexy.
Steady on. Meeting on the third Wednesday of every month, Becky and her chums are keeping the Escort love alive.
The old Fords are part of British heritage, aren't they, really? So that's why we love them.
Behind me here is my Mark I Escort 1300 Super. I've had it for about 3.5, 4 years now. And it's had a full bare metal restoration. Just putting the finishing touches on it now.
How old are you?
I'm 16 years old.
Seems everybody's been a bit well behaved tonight. It's probably because we're filming.
Is it strictly legal?
It's not illegal. It's a group of guys bringing their cars to show in a car park. The actual burnouts, you know, it's their cars, it's their tyres. They pay for the tyres, so.
What do the police make of it all?
The brothers don't enjoy us.
Do they not?
No.
Do you think they're a bit jealous?
Oh, totally. I mean, look what they drive. They've got to be jealous, haven't they?
I expected it to be a bit more rock and roll, and it's sort of more sort of jazz, really.
It looks like boy and girl racers have grown up. Well, maybe a little bit. But if they could start all over again, how would they restore a genuine Escort Mexico?
I built a Mark I Mexico 2 years ago.
You've got to show them love and passion, and I wanted everything that I did to it to be absolutely spot on.
If you're going to have the real thing, have the real thing.
Now, the real thing wasn't white, and the real thing didn't have a massive go faster stripe in black. 3 weeks to go, and our restoration is becoming purer by the day. And Ant's got a visitor.
Hello, Ant. Hello, mate.
Oh, real pleasure.
It's the man that's built over 1,000 Escort engines, Jeff Harris.
Definitely get a ring. If I need anything, I'll give you a shout.
And he's here to run his magical hands all over ours.
I was born into this. I'm 59 now. I was 10 or 11 when I built my first engine. We wanted to have the fastest cars on the road, and we would do something to that engine, and we'd go out, you know, if you like, street racing. Illegal that it is, but anyway. Well, when it came out of the factory, they were doing thousands a day. It was a mass-produced car. What I do, literally, I change everything. I machine or file any impurities so it will increase the performance of that engine. Very nice. I've used some pistons which are actually machined out of a solid piece of aluminium, which are lighter, and because they are forged, they're stronger. Fitting new valves, you need to marry those two components. I've got the valve edge, which I put a very fine paste on, and then you see the stick with the rubber that I was doing this business. You could lose power if it's not right.
You proud of this engine?
Yeah, very proud, very proud. There is a Harris secret recipe, yeah.
What's the secret?
No, I can't give that away. These hands, if you like.
Wow, look at that.
You like it?
You put some blingy bits on as well.
Oh yeah, I had to, mate.
Jeff, it looks unbelievable.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I agree with you, but then I would do, wouldn't I, you know?
Yeah, what's she going to go like that?
She will be a Ferrari eater. It won't be able to sniff it, absolutely.
With the rise of boy racers like Jeff Harris in the 70s, Britain's streets started filling up with fast Fords. But even though speed was now cheap, not everyone wanted to pay for it.
Car crime in the 70s was prolific in Liverpool. Going out and robbing a car to us as young lads was a laugh.
In the early 70s, Bob Croxton knew a few blokes who ensured that one of the European hotspots for car crime was Liverpool.
If you had a screwdriver, an air clip, anything could get into a car and away you went.
Long before alarms and immobilisers, fast Fords were a doddle to steal.
Now you've got a satellite that can track your car from space. Then there's a file in the door, open the door, 30 seconds later you were off down the street. I was never ever scared of the police, ever.
And this is why.
Unfortunately, we had one of the worst fleets of patrol cars that you could ever wish to have, and that was the 1.8 TC Marina.
Retired Constable Bob Woozy and his colleagues were trapped behind the wheel of some of the worst cars ever made.
They were not very good in pursuit situations at all. It was dreadful at going around corners.
And the kids nicking the fast Fords knew it.
They would go for a run round, and sometimes they would even taunt us.
I can remember kids stopping for the police to catch up so they could take off. And then it'd be like that out the windows at the police, and the police would just be screaming.
I don't know as I ever actually caught anybody in the marina.
The Scallies were unstoppable, and a furious Liverpool and Bootle constabulary took a decision that would change policing our streets forever.
Then we went on to a new fleet of cars in 1973, and they were everything that the marina wasn't. And the police...
Take a wild guess as to what Bob's next police car was.
You are joking. Where did you get that from?
Well, Bob, if you can't beat them. The Liverpool and Bootle police were the first to use fast Fords, and Bob hasn't driven a Mexico for 40 years.
Just as I remember it. That's it. I have driven this one. This is one of the original fleet.
You a bit surprised?
I'm gobsmacked. It's brilliant. It's everything I remember about the car. Beautiful. And one of the problems when you were driving in a pursuit, you were often driving one-handed because you were on the radio.
I think you'll find that's illegal.
Do you want to go for a drive?
Can I? Lovely.
Bob and his colleagues felt the power of the Mexico immediately.
I was working in St Helens and I was on a late shift, and I had a brand new Mexico. There'd been a car that had been used in an incident somewhere, and I spotted it on the road and I started following it. This car then started taking off. I was pursuing a 3-litre Capri and I had the edge on it. I was able to keep up with it without any problem at all.
I do remember them driving round in the Mexicos. The police got clever now. The police have now actually stepped ahead of the criminals.
It looked the business and it did the business. In the back of the Capri, when we put the prisoner in the back of my car and he was taken away, there's a sawn-off shotgun. Sometimes when we were interviewing the lads that we'd arrested, quite often they would compliment the car that we were driving. Not the driver, just the car that I was driving.
Peace reigned on the banks of the Mersey. Well, almost.
My name's Rob. Nice to meet you, mate. How are you?
I'm Bob.
Nice to meet you, Rob. You okay, mate? I never thought I'd be sitting in front of the car with a policeman.
I personally think that the Mexico reduced the incidences of car crime in Liverpool during the time we had it.
Quite a bold statement.
It was a very bold car.
I mean, this must be quite nostalgic, then. I think you're joking.
The Mexico blazed a blue and white trail. And after its success in Liverpool, nationally the police would drive fast Fords for the next 20 years.
I've thoroughly enjoyed being reunited with this car. It's been a pleasure to meet you as well and hear your version of events.
Yeah, it's been nice, to be honest with you, to sit in the front of a police car. You know, I'm normally in the back. I very, very seldom get to sit in the front of a police car.
Now, if Rob or one of his mates wanted to nick our Mexico back in the day, Ford couldn't have made it any easier. They foolishly offered optional extras. Thousands went for a sunroof on a rally car.
Everyone bought them. Back in the 70s, they actually ran out of stock of sunroofs.
Mark 1 Mexico with a sunroof, no go. Don't do it.
Takes the solidness out of the car, and it shouldn't have it anyway. It's a racing car, not a driving around in the sunshine car.
The Mexico was built by Ford for one reason. They traded off their rally success. It's a rally car that you and I can buy, and everybody knows rally cars can't have sunroofs.
It's all in the details, and Ants had another of his ideas.
I've managed to get hold of a second-hand roof panel. Thanks, mate. They're like the holy grail.
Take care of her. When restoring a car properly, you want to weld a really solid panel to another really solid panel. Blasting it ensures that we get rid of all the rust and we're working with pure metal.
What we're basically doing is we're going to carefully unpick and cut away the existing roof.
Oh, it's like a can of beans.
Right, this is great. Car actually, rigidity, it hasn't moved an inch. Do the reverse on the roof on the floor. So what I'm basically doing is really simple. This is the roof skin of our old car with the rain drip channel. We've cut away the roof, which has the sunroof in it, and we're going to place on our new skin over the top, and then weld it here in the rain drip channel. That way it's hidden, and then when we come to paint the car, it'll all look seamless as if it was out the factory. Yeah, that's going really nicely. Doing it this way might seem a long-rooted way of tackling the roof chop, but actually that's how the panel was intended to be fitted in the first place. Oh, so it's comfy now. That's how Ford did it. They installed the roof on top of the rain channels, spot welded it to fix it in place. This roof's done. Every car builder in their head knows the way the car will progress. For me, the roof was the final chapter of doing the bodywork.
What it needs now is a Mexico colour. Oh, and some wheels. Fit the engine. Some lights, a couple of seats, gear stick, indicators, carpet. Our Mexico is almost ready to face the Escort purists.
Our Mexico was hard. We bought a car that needed an awful lot of structural work. Go on, pull it in. It was a complete rot box. Go on, get on. And we've gone through a mountain of work. The front end forwards is basically new. Completely new floor, completely new roof. Once that part of the car was done, the rest of the car's been a privilege to build. We've effectively created a real Bazzy street racer out of our original Mark 1. And this is a restoration worth doing. This is our original Mexico. Also, the car's just cool.
I'm on my way to the workshop. Lovers of the Escort from all over the country are gathering. They've been promised a very special car. The last time I saw it, our 42-year-old Mexico had just been dragged out of a shed for the first time in 2 decades.
Anthony. Anthony.
Is that your Essex boy?
Yes, my boy races voice.
Very good. What do you reckon?
Wow!
Oh, it's gorgeous. Nice paint job, babe.
Thanks, man. It's awesome.
So why this particular colour?
It looks orange, but it's actually called Sebring Red. So Sebring Red's a Ford colour, and it was the original colour of the car we bought.
It's very 70s, isn't it? I think it looks lovely.
So do you like the colour? Do you approve?
Yes, I do, very much. I like the stripe work.
Yeah, now you see, you did ask for stripes.
I did ask for stripes.
Yeah. So it looks Larry, but underneath here, this is where it's really Larry. Do you remember your man, Jeff?
Yes.
So what Jeff's done is he's given us maximum power from the engine, and what we've done is we've enhanced that power by changing the carburetors, changing the exhaust, uprating the cooling, and then to enhance that even further, suspension, brakes, everything's been redone on this car.
But the bottom line is it goes fast.
Yeah, it's really fast.
Basically. Lovely jubbly.
Look, I kept the original seats. We haven't touched them, we've just cleaned them up.
Really?
Yeah, really lovely. What's great about the Mexico is that less is more. There is nothing in here you don't need. All you need to know is the gear stick, the steering wheel and the right pedal. That's where the fun lies in a Mexico.
Brilliant. Well done.
Thanks, man.
Right, should we take her out?
Yeah?
That sounds like a boy racer.
Oh, yeah, I mean, this car's mean.
8 weeks ago, Ant found a rust heap in a South London garage.
Go on!
Like the Escort story itself, a humble and barely noticeable beginning.
Bit racy.
But just like the Escort, it's blossomed.
It just sort of brings a sort of smile to your face, doesn't it?
The car transformed by a nation's desire to go faster. Our restoration driven on by a passion to keep it on the road for decades to come.
Look like a proper race car.
Yeah, good.
Go on, get under there, have a look. Some muppet made this engine.
I know, well, I don't know who it is.
I quite like this steering wheel. I think I could get used to this. And also, I know it sounds really stupid, but the small gear stick makes a difference rather than a massive one that you're trying to like dig in all the time. Definitely done Escorts proud.
It's great to see an original Mexico looking as it should do. Wheels the right size, everything just looks perfect. Brilliant car.
I mean, to turn it around in the space you did as well was fantastic, and I think, you know, it has turned out nice.
He's done a brilliant job.
She has grown on me. She sounds brilliant, feels brilliant, drives amazing.
It has been done proper, and you know, you could get the purist walk round this and say, thumbs up, you know. We've had several people come up to us saying, how much is it? We'll have to get them along to the auction, won't we?
Your meet and greet at the Greyhound. How would our Escort get on in that club?
Fit in,
Would it fit in?
But you'd have
Would
to...
it be allowed into the pack?
Yeah, but you'd have to learn how to do the whole rolling burnouts on the way out.
Becky's right. There's only one way to end a fast Ford meet. So the Ford Escort Mexico, the car that brought speed to the masses.
Gun it, gun it, gun it, gun it.
Looks like a family car, performs like a race car. It's whether you were doing the school run or driving at 50 miles an hour sideways through a Welsh forest. But what's remarkable is the passion and the love that people feel for this car. And this is not a museum piece. This is a car that's very much alive. I'm on it. I'm on it. So do yourself a favor. If you get the chance, get yourself a ride in a Ford Escort Mexico, because you will not be sorry.
Go on, son.
Next time, we celebrate a car that is Great Britain on wheels.
Like a Yorkshire pudding.
Solid.
There's no power steering, love.
Dependable.
This is all sort of fantastic boys' own adventure stuff.
Yeah, I clog up even now.
A bit simple.
And of course, everybody assumed the elephant was driving the Land Rover.
So beautifully engineered.
That's a proper Land Rover.
It resurrected our car industry.
It's more than just a car, it's an institution.
Preserved our empire.
This is what I wanted to do to our Land Rover.
You're joking, right?
Barely changed for 60 years.
No zebra
You're
finish.
definitely not having a zebra finish.
What?